All right. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining with me tonight. I know I have missed a few Thursday nights, mostly because of bookings or just other things going on in my life that I had to take care of. But I wanted to make sure I showed up for you guys today. So we got today, next week, right? Because today is the 18th. Next week will be the 25th, which is Christmas. Am I gonna be here on Christmas? I don't know. We're gonna see. But this may or may not be the last live before the new year. So, with that being stated, welcome, and when the new year hits, welcome back. All right. So I'm actually getting ready to try to still finish setting up what I had, while I let you guys know exactly what tonight is all about and why we're doing it. Okay. So first things we're gonna turn the TV off, and then we'll start setting up my lighting. Okay. So one of the main things, the main reasons why I wanted to create this live tonight is simply because of the fact that I just did an event and they had one, two, three, and I'll say four, maybe even five lighting setups that are different from each other. Actually, maybe even six. And I'm gonna explain why I say that. Okay. And I'm trying to bring out multiple lights so you guys can get an idea of how I had to shoot this event. Okay. Now I can't show you guys any shots from this event because it was a private event. So that's why I'm not going to show you guys actual images from it. But I will do replications. So I will show you guys how the setup looked and what I had to ultimately do myself to be able to make sure I still was able to get the best shots, because I cannot use what I normally would use in, like, say, for example, a portrait at an event. Like a portrait photo shoot, I can't use the same settings for an event, especially if I got some people that may be far away, some people that may be up close, some people that might be in a corner where it's just lit for one specific color, which was the DJ in this case. So that's why I'm like, there were multiple setups there, and I had to learn how to adjust. And if it wasn't because I had set up my lives the way that they are every Thursday to come out here and practice on myself, and then ultimately having my photo shoots outside of my lives, it would have been difficult for me to understand how to maneuver on this big event, because it was a big event. This is probably one of the largest events that I have had to do with my assistant, and that paid the most to date. All right. So now I want to go ahead and try to break things down for you guys, let you guys know what I did or how things were set up and what I did. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring a couple of things. So I'm going to bring this one light here. Okay. So I'm going to leave that there, because this particular light is going to have two type of setups, and I'm going to run each one at a time, and then we're going to do test shots of each, just to see what they look like, and just in case, of course, you yourself are running an event and you're like, you don't know what exactly to do, and you also don't want to freak out while you're at the event. So one of the main things I've had to learn is when I am at an event or I have a booking that's coming up, first and foremost, it's best to go ahead and prepare yourself beforehand. So that, for me, that means, I should have that. Boom. I just got a new SD card, and it's amazing. I love it. So anyway, one of the main things for me is to ensure that I am prepared. So what that means, if I say prepared, what does that mean? That basically just means that I am practicing before the said event. If I need to grab a model from somewhere, if I don't have one already on hand, I can go ahead and get a model to work with me to try to duplicate what I think the settings or setup may be at this said event, if I can. Of course, also another tip you can do is asking the client. Say, hey, what is this setup going to look like? What are you going to have there? Are there going to be different light setups? So that way you have an idea, especially if you can get some pictures of the venue, right? So that's what I ultimately did. I reached out to the client and was like, hey, send me some pictures of what the venue looks like. Okay. So let me see. Just want to make sure, because anybody wants to see it. I mean, it says I'm live. All right, so we'll go with that. Okay. All right. I don't know if everybody's gonna be in the chat, and I can't. I like to prefer to kind of be focused on me exactly. Anyway, even though I really don't need to look at this part, I can actually just look at this. This is the case anybody comes in. Okay. Let's see. So got my camera set up. Yeah, this is kind of bothersome. So I'm gonna go and go here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna minimize this just in case anybody else comes on. There we go. Oh, and then I need to. I'm going to my Instagram right now, and I'm going to create a note and let them know live on YouTube till 9 p.m. Link in bio. And then add an emoji, which will be my video camera. Boom. And share. All right. Cool. Just needed that to work for me. Just in case, again, anybody decides to come on. Well, I am on. So, camera right here is already set up. All right. I'm adjusting my other lighting here, which actually needs to be brighter. There you go. So that way you can really see me. And then the final piece that I really want to make sure that I set up and not wait until the last minute is having my continuous light on. Okay, that's gonna be a interesting setup. I'm gonna do it right quick. So now keep in mind, these setups that I'm creating are not. None of them I actually brought in myself. They had their setup already prepared when I got there. So all I had to do was just adjust my camera settings and decide what lens I want to use or switch between lenses, just so that way I can get the best shots. Because ultimately what the gig was, it was an anniversary party that I had to capture, okay? And it was like a large party of people, like probably close to 100 people, and if not over. And ultimately, I had to take pictures and do videos. Okay, so what that looked like was myself doing the pictures, and also as me having my speed light, which I'm also gonna try to do a rendition of that so you guys can see what that looks like. And then I also had my assistant doing the videos. Now, keep in mind, I only have the one DSLR camera, right? So she has an actual, she has an iPhone 14 currently, right? But she's supposed to be upgrading soon. Actually, we're also going to be upgrading soon. But that is her current device, okay? So we ended up using her phone for the video portion. So that way we can still be able to capture video. And all I needed to do at the end was just to update, or more so edit the video itself. So like the recap, right? So that way the client can have it to post or whatever. Because what I've been noticing is, even though clients, they want footage, meaning they want a full event of what it is that they have going on once they book, they ultimately do want some type of a recap. Because think about if your event, in this case, started at 4, right? And it was like a 6-hour event. So imagine trying to watch 6 hours worth of this footage. And it's not being filmed consistently, right? So it's being broken up. So it's when something, a highlight takes place, when people are walking into the room at the beginning, all up until when the bride and the groom start walking into the room, each of those parts are kind of cut or pre-cut, right? So because of that, you're going to get a multiple amounts of clips. So we want to make sure we want to make sure that we're being mindful when we send this over. So keep in mind, they're going to get the footage. Like, they're going to get all the clips, right? But again, they're just going through this, looking at all the clips, but they're not put together. There's no story to be told. It's just clips. So the beauty of that is when I come into play, even after I get the pictures, and I guess give them the pictures, of course, then I look at the videos, try to keep which ones that look the best, take away which ones that don't. Then I also go through and I create a highlight reel, which would be what they would ultimately use when it comes to their posting. So they say that they decide to post it on TikTok or Instagram or wherever they decide to post it at. I will give them those particular clips that are already put together. They're already edited. They're color graded, and they have text over it. They have a song over it, and they can choose obviously when they post it to choose a different song. But I'm giving you basically the starting point of what the highlight reel will look like. And in this case, they were able to receive 2 copies. So one is the YouTube version, which would be in this case the widescreen, and then the second one was the vertical version. So that'd be like posting it on the actual reels, right? With the extended option or add-on of getting an extra 2 minutes added onto it. So if they decided they want a longer highlight clip without it just being just limited to 60 seconds, then they could also get that, right? So a lot of options. So what I'm doing right now, and as I'm about to connect to my continuous light, I'm not even gonna turn it on just yet, but I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna connect it, and then we're gonna start going through what the evening looked like and how I had my setup, and then I'm gonna do my best to take pictures to replicate as if I'm part of the setup, as in the guest, for example, just so that way you guys can get an idea of what the pictures looked like. Okay? So I'm gonna lock this in right quick. I'm gonna lock it in. Then I'm going to plug this in. Okay? So I got a continuous light that actually has a plug attached to it. Next year, I'll actually be working on getting one of the AD200s. It's the much more powerful lights. Those are the ones I can actually take outside, and they can cover a lot more areas. For example, here we go. This one is a cute little $20 light that does the job. That's all I need to say to that. It does the job. I'm not going to complain about my light because why? I already know what I got. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to put this diffuser over it. Then we'll get started. Bring this up a little bit. Turn this around. All right. So this will be this continuous light. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll leave this off to the side right now for now. Okay. I'll turn this on when it's time. Oh, and then the next thing I need to do is make sure that I have my camera also connected. So what I'll do here is I will turn on my EOS utility. Get my cord like so. And as you guys know, when it comes to this EOS utility, once I connect my camera, I will be able to take pictures and it will show up on my computer screen. That way you guys can take a look and see what those look like. Keep in mind, I will be absolutely adjusting my settings throughout the evening, okay? So first things foremost, connect that into my camera and connect this USB into my port on my laptop, preferably on the 3.0 side, okay? And then we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. Gonna hear a bloop bloop of some sort. Where is it at? All right, it's connecting, it's linking. And then the final step for me is actually going to connect a screen broadcast my phone while also preserving my battery. Where is that? Battery, low power. All right, remote shooting, yes. All right, so waiting for that to come up. It'll do what it needs to do. And then, of course, that part is going to show up as well. What is this telling me? The stream is always higher than the recommended bitrate. Recommend you use stream rate of 2500. The fact that y'all can tell that, so can I update that here? Let's see, I feel like that would be run the stream, but is it gonna let me do it through there? Because I'm already in here. Bit rate. Okay. Oh. 2500. That's what they said on YouTube here. So is that 25? Here. I just want to apply it. See what that does. Okay. Alright, so got my camera set up. Okay. Currently, it is on. It is fully charged. It is showing at about 5,000 empty slots that I can use. And then having my camera connect. I think I tried to do this before, but it was odd. Now this might come up, this might not, so I'm not going to stress it, but I'm going to put it off to the side just in case it does. Okay, so I'm not going to trip about it. Alright, so now first thing that I'm going to do while I am here is I am actually, maybe I should turn this off. Let this turn on. However it does that. Because I did it. That'd be the one thing that would give me the most irritation is this. See, now it's trying to come on, so now let's see. Because what is this? Let's see if it does it, okay? Just to test it out. Nope. Which kind of sucks. I ain't gonna lie to you. But we're gonna work with it regardless. Okay. So what I end up doing is if it doesn't come on at all, then I will make sure that I have. Maybe I don't need to have my do not disturb on. Or maybe it's the battery. That can't be it. Anyway. So. Now that we have everything set up, I am going to show you what one of their main lights setups was. All right. So this setup, the first thing I'm going to show you, the first one is when everybody's walking inside of the building, right? And the lighting that they had, it wasn't lighting per se. It was more like, it was lighting, but it wasn't lighting. Like it was a sparkler that they had, right? So the initial people came in, which was like the guests, right? So you had to have the guests come in first, fill the room, so that way the couple can make their entrance, okay? So the couple came in afterwards, and when they came in, and of course, as far as the bridal party, right? They came in and they walked through the sparklers, okay? And they're huge, because they had two on the floor, and one on each side, and they came up very bright and lit up as people were walking through it. Now, the thing with that is, I'm going to show you what I think it looked like based off of this. Okay? Because I don't have sparklers here, but I can emulate it. So I turn this on. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is let's do that. Okay. Let me see. Let's do this instead. I was gonna bring my eye. Like this. This is what the sparklers look like. Imagine this on both sides. Okay? Again, not a problem, but keep in mind, so this is the doorway right here, right? So if I had another one on this other side, the people are coming through the doorway. First and foremost, at this time, it's nighttime ish, right? So people are coming in. Well, that's this kind. The guests have already came in. The guests already came in. And right now it's the bridal party. So it's the bride and groom that are now coming in, right? So the part that I had to adjust on, right? Because at this moment, I'm right there in front of everybody. So I'm about to take my shots. But of course, I have my speed light, right? Which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And I'm going to show you what initially would probably happen, right? And now what I'm going to do is, in the meantime, oh, put it on the wrong side. Alright. So here's my speed light. It's connected, right? So what I'm going to do to give you guys a really good inside view of what happens. Maybe it's because it's already streaming. Maybe that's why. I'm not going to stop it for it. But either way, I'll probably record some of this so you guys can see. Like, let's do, if I can bring it to Facebook Live so you guys can see that. Okay. Just so you guys can see it. And then I'm going to turn this light off, but I do want you guys to pay attention to what's going on. Here, here. Okay. Here we are. Turn that over. Alright, so now shooting at different lighting scenarios in one room. Alright, so we're live here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can see myself be live. Okay, because I do want you guys to see this. Let's see, hold on, maybe I might switch. that, I'll remove this. How do I hide this screen? So enlarge that. Okay. Y'all probably like, when you gonna get it? I'm gonna get it. Alright, so now I'm going to come here. Now I'm just gonna open up this tab. Okay. Just so you guys can see this. Alright. Let me turn that down a little bit. Just so you guys can see this. Okay. Here we are. Finally in it. Alright. So, keep in mind, I got my hand on camera. Okay. You guys should be able to see that. Oh, we got a delay to it. Man. Alright, anyway. I'll edit this in post in case for the ones that aren't able to see this fully. Okay. So, here is my camera. Yeah, I'm not gonna let that. It's really trying to catch up. Yeah, I don't care for that. So I might leave it just in case it catches up with me, but I don't think it will. So without wasting any more time, so here's the camera light right here. So keep in mind I had this on, right? Now mode is, it's not supposed to be in multi. I always keep mine as a TTL or I put it in manual. So it's, now I actually need to get it off of here because that's going to connect to my, where is it? It's actually going to connect. There we go. Okay. So now if I keep missing orange, it's gonna connect to my box. But since I don't have it connected to the box, that's why I needed to just connect to the camera. So this way it's gonna connect to the camera. So now if I aim it at anything, okay, and we're currently in manual mode on the camera, and say for example, I just shoot. Well, you ain't gonna see it here because it's gonna pop up on here, right? So, what I'll do in that case, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. But what just happened right now is it actually just did the picture. So I want to see, here it is, right? I want to show you guys what that looks like. Canon. Wait, that's not what I need. So in that case, if we switched off, let's go here and then make this be the picture itself. Okay. So as you can see, this is what it captured. Now, keep in mind that can be adjusted with my settings of my camera. So I'm gonna adjust those right quick because I do want you guys to see that. Okay. So if I were to be here, all right. So if I were to be here, now I'm looking at my settings. All right. So far, hold up. I want to keep this at 0. Right. Now, when it comes to the mode, I want that to be at manual. Okay. Now, it's showing that my shutter speed is at 1/80. Right. So my shutter speed is showing 1/80, and my ISO is at 800. So these pictures will actually be kind of bright. But what I'll do is I will try to take another snapshot just to see what it does. About the same. Now, what happens if I step in front of it? Okay. So if I step in front of it, will it change? Here's why. Another reason why to make sure that you know what you're doing. My cap is on. Let's take that off. Then we'll try it again. Okay. Now this should be pretty bright though. Okay. Keep in mind this lighting is behind me. So the couple is walking in with this light behind them, right? So again, and these are gonna be pretty bright because the shutter speed is low. Okay. Shutter speed is really, really low. So keep in mind they're gonna be moving. Me and my client's gonna be moving towards me. So I want to bring that down, maybe about 200, 250. Right? So bring it up more so that my light goes down. And then the ISO, I will probably adjust that to about 400 or 200 really. 100 is perfect because it's not going to have as much noise. So that's something to definitely consider. So let's try this where it's at and see if that makes a difference. Okay? Then we'll be here. Take a picture. 2 seconds. Then we'll see what pops up. There, a lot better, right? So that's a lot better. Now, the thing with that is, of course, I'm not in focus, which we already know why, right? And on top of that, my flash power is high. So that's another thing. So usually you want to have a starting place. So if I'll go ahead and turn this light off for now. Okay, so you want to have a starting place. So typically what I would do is I'll play around with my settings a little more just to make sure that I can get them to where it's sharp enough and I can be seen enough, right? So as you guys know, I always use a tripod to utilize as me until I get the app on my phone to make it work like it's supposed to so I can automatically have me in focus, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll go here, half hold my button down. So there's my button right here. Right here. I'm going to bring this back up. I'm going to lock this center right here. And then I'm going to go here. And I'm going to manually adjust that. Hold it half down again so it can give me the brightness that I want. Alright. And then of course I'm remembering my flash power. My flash power is really high. And when I say it's really high, that means that we are absolutely at a place of, too close to one hold stop or one hold, right? Anything that's close to 1 is automatically going to be high. So what you want to do is you want to bring it up. Like 164, maybe 1 over 128 would be pretty great, and it won't use as much flash power. So we'll start off with the 1 over 64, but I would like to get a 1 over 28. If I do 1 over 28 though, I have to adjust my, in this case I have to adjust either my aperture, which is the 5.0 that makes most things in focus, my shutter speed. If I bring it down, it'll give me more light. If I bring it up, it'll give me less light, make it a little darker, but I'll be able to capture people in motion. And then of course ISO. The higher it is, the more grain is going to come in, but the more light I will also get. Okay? Sorry, you have to kind of sit that with y'all looking at my book. But we here. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and snap this picture while I replace this thing. That's 2. Alright, so we see where we're starting at. And it should pop up here. Let's see. There we go. Much better. You can't see my face for shit, but much better. Okay? So in that case, I'm probably just going to exit out of this because this is not doing what I needed it to do. So in that case, so I can also see myself better, I will bring this here. Alright, so basically that's what I would do to get it it into a basic setting, right? Now I can turn the lights on, and I'm gonna keep it on for a little bit, but I'm gonna turn it off because that flashing does get irritating after a while. So, but I'm gonna give you guys an example of what that looks like, okay? So, simulating. Couple comes in, the lights are flashing at this point. Keep in mind, once they pass the lights are now behind them. If the lights are in front of them, it can help my image to be a lot sharper, to be more in focus. But if the light turns out to be behind them as they're walking in, which they kind of walk in pretty quickly, so they're coming in this way, of course, now at this point, I have to, of course, still follow them, but make sure that I keep a pretty good distance so that I can keep the lighting on them because of my speed light, right? While also not trying to use full power for my speed light, okay? So I'll move this here for now. But that is going to be how we're going to typically utilize this, right? Utilize this whole thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to so much worry about, I think we're on autofocus. Alright, so I'm not going to do too much worry about, of course, how it's, if it catches me in as focused as possible. Right now I just want to make sure that it can show the light, give me as much lighting so that way my clients, i.e. me, won't show up too dark, okay? So, people are coming in. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the 10. Well, let's try that. We got a self-timer continuous. We got like 5 shots it's going to take. I don't think it's running right now. So right here. So walking in. Right? So now keep in mind, we're going to run through those pretty quickly. I don't know how quickly they're going to show everything, but that's definitely, okay, that's the last shot. Okay? So now, let's do it again, but start from the, this time I'm going to take off the continuous. And we're just going to do this one. So that's just 10. So keep in mind, we're here. So I'm going to shoot it from here. Everybody's excited. Okay. Probably just did 2 shots of that. Oh, it's showing everyone at a time. Oh no. We'll do. Alright, so that way. So it looks like it did show a good amount of them. But you can see, of course, how the lighting was able to catch some, right? So it's not bad. It's not bad. But then it goes back to that, into making sure that you are capturing your actual client. So in this case, if I wanted to, I could actually raise the power on my camera. So I can make that go to the 164. 1/64. So now that I'm set it up in camera, which the rule is to set up for your room first in camera and then add the flash power. So in this case, I'll bring this down to 1/64, just to give it more power. And then we'll do a test shot. So that's me coming through here. Alright? Just for the purpose of having one shot at a time. Okay? So, this is ideally how some of the pictures were coming out, right? Not a bad thing. Now, that's just one lighting setup. Keep in mind, the lens that I'm currently using right now is my kit lens. So I did start off with my kit lens, ultimately, right? And then I went from there to transition into utilizing my my prime lens. Why did I do that? Is because of the fact that if I was able to, even though I was able to capture a good amount of the crowd and the people that were in the actual building with the kit lens, when it comes to catching details, when it comes to catching intricate parts of the event, right? So in this case, there was certain people that I needed to catch, right? Especially when it comes to certain types of the bokeh. When it comes to the background, which was what the bokeh would be referring to, right? So what that would do and how I would be able to finesse that is ultimately having the prime lens allows me to utilize more light. It'll have more light coming into the camera because of the prime lens. The prime lens already starts at 2. I think my aperture already starts at 2.0. Some of them might go down to 1.8, but keep in mind the lower the number is, the sharper. Well, no, the lower your number is, the more light comes in. The higher the number is the less light that comes in, but more things are in focus. Okay, so if I'm at 1.8, 2.0, I'm gonna have a blurry background. But if I'm focused on, of course, on my subject for the most part will be in focus. But everything outside my subject or outside that focus area is gonna be blurry. So that's really what what bokeh means ideally. So it gives you a very nice effect when it comes to ensuring your pictures get this nice dreamy look to it. Okay, especially if you have a background where it's a lot of noise going on, a lot of distractions. You can use this effect, especially on your phone. For example, if you have a phone that has portrait mode, that will give you that bokeh feeling because you can focus on your subject, but then everything else in the background is blurry. All right, so that's bokeh. All right, so those are the moments where I would switch out my lens. So when people are coming in, I'm getting the scene, getting the people in the crowd, getting the bar, getting even this one particular area they had that was a box. I'm gonna show you guys trying to emulate that as much as I can when it comes to my softbox. Okay, but we're gonna talk about how and when I decided to switch over. So at this point, I done used my kit lens and I got more wide shots because the kit lens is a zoom lens, meaning I can zoom out and zoom in. Prime lenses, I can't zoom out or zoom in. I kind of have to take it as it is, and I have to be the one to move up or move back to be able to get certain shots or turn the orientation of my camera. Luckily, because of the fact that my camera was definitely on my person, I can rotate and move as much as I needed to, okay? So now I'm going to show and simulate what it would look like for this one particular setup that they had, which was ideally it was like a magazine box situation. Now keep in mind, I had started taking the pictures with my kit lens at first, but then I realized it kept giving me this blur because I had my speed light still going off. Okay, so that was something that I had to pay attention to when it came to capturing pictures that were going towards like a glass-like setting, because you're going to get a bounce back, which is ideally going to be the flash is going to call back to you in the picture. So they might be great taking a picture, but it's going to be reflected in that glass, even if the glass is plastic, which in this case it was plastic. So here is a simulation of what it would look like. Keep in mind, this is not a box, but the lighting they had was focused down on the actual guest. Okay, so what I can do here is I can turn this to go completely facing downward, bring this all the way up as much as I can, so that way I am under it. Okay, because this is how everybody was. They literally this was on. I'm turning this on. This was on, and everybody stood under it, and they took pictures. Okay. Now, of course, it wasn't necessarily as bright, but it was bright enough. Like they had like 3 or 4 people that would go under it at one point, so it was bright enough. Okay. So in this case, I'm gonna keep it bright enough, but I'm also going to switch out my lens. And the reason why I'm deciding to switch out my lens now is because it goes back into what my kit lens can do compared to my zoom lens. So my kit lens, even though I love it and I use it for all of my self-portraits, it is great when it comes to flash photography, right? It is great when it comes to me using, okay, here's my 35. I use my 35 for these parts. It is great when it comes to videos, but when it comes to continuous lighting setups, it's not the best. And the reason why is because it's not a lot of light that is allowed in, right? So I'm gonna turn this off real quick. And then I'm going to take off my kit lens. And I'm going to basically leave the prime lens on for the rest of the live. Okay? So what I ended up using was my prime lens in this case, right? And this is a 35 millimeter. Okay? So you can see it's a 35. This is like my second favorite lens. Okay? 35. Alright? So now I'm going to connect this to this. Okay? Turn it back on. It's going to do what it's doing on the computer. Okay. Now, because I switched over to my kit lens, I also have to adjust my settings for the room using my prime lens. Okay, let me say that one more time. Because I took off my kit lens, I have to readjust my settings for the room using my prime lens. Why do I need to do that? It goes back to what I just said. When it comes to your prime lens, it is going to be set for the most part. It can go as low as a 1.8 type of aperture or a 2.0 type of aperture. Okay, and what that looks like for you is that you'll get more light in. If you go down to a 1.8, 2.0, you're going to get a lot of light coming in. So meaning that I can actually turn down, if I decide to continue to use my speed light, I can turn down the flash power on my speed light. Okay, or I can turn down the ISO on my camera, right? So basically in this moment, what I be doing, and I'm going to do it right now while we're talking to you, is I am actually going to set it up. Let me see, because I think I got to hit my utility one more time. I didn't even get off. Okay, here we go. Remote shooting. And it's going to show it. Okay. Okay, so now that I have this kit lens here, it's already connected. Okay, so now what I want to do is I can turn off all these other lights because again we want to imitate what we already had to work with, right? So I don't want a lot of other lighting that's not necessarily in there. Keep in mind, even though the box was here, which in this case would be this, there were other lights around in the room too. So obviously they had their certain areas where the couple sat out, they had their specific lighting. When it came to, obviously the door still had its own type of lighting. The people in their seats had their own type of lighting. They had another room where the bar that had its own separate type of lighting. So even though those are still in effect, I have to make sure that I am focused to prepare to capture for this right here. Okay. Now, luckily, because I had to go back to this area a few times, which in this case was the magazine box area, where people just walk in, they're under this light, and they're taking pictures as if they're on the cover of a magazine. It was nothing for me to go back and forth to adjust it, and it took me like maybe 2 steps, and I was able to capture the people without having any issues, right? So now I'm going to show you, of course. So let's go here. I'm going to show you what that would look like ideally. So let me see. Make sure this is bright enough for you, or clear enough. Alright, so keep in mind, I'm not using my speed light for this one because I got my prime lens. Right, so but I will bring in this tripod to simulate as if it's me, as you guys already know how I do when it comes to that. Right, so now what I'll do is, because the lighting, it was on them, but it wasn't directly on them, so for the most part it was like right behind them. Right, so just so it can light them up. So this is where I'll be standing at in this case, and I can move this back some. Okay. So in here, what I'll do is I will hit this button just so that way I can see the actual tripod. Half hold down my shutter button, halfway. make sure I don't have my lens is not on there. So my lens cap isn't on there. Okay. So now what I want to do and what I want to make sure is happening is that I can see this tripod because that's going to simulate me. If I can't see me, then I'm not going to be taking in the shot, and I'm not using my speed light because keep in mind there's a plastic that's in front of me, but it's going to give me some type of a glare. So in this case, what I'll do is I will actually, since right now the aperture at 2.5, I can bring that to 2. I can bring that to 1 point. Actually, 2.0 is the lowest for this lens, right? Now, if I wanted to, I can actually bring down my shutter speed, even to 80. 1/80 is not bad because for the most part, they're not going to be moving too much. They're actually going to pose for the shot, all right? That you guys can really see all of me. Okay, pose for the shot. And then if I really want to, I'm like, you know what, that's still not enough. Let me go here and bring my shutter speed up. All right, so then if I even have to do it at 800, which is pretty safe, you can see that this is coming in now, okay? So meaning that if I put my face right there, you'll be able to see me, okay? So now we're going to test that out to see what that looks like. And I should have my countdown. Go back here. Waiting for that screen to come up so I can count it down. All right, here we go. So now, looks like we're already in this film right here. So what's going to happen is, I don't know why I did it that way, but anyway, we're here. But I could actually just hit this button, and that'll take me to the time. So now it's going to count down. Oh, yeah, I got first, I'm gonna make sure that I am in focus, because that's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. So I'm gonna go here. It was actually in focus previously. So here it is now. It's completely in focus. Okay, so there's me adjusting my lens. Okay, and then I can actually go ahead and hit the button now. It's blinking, so that means it's counting down. I can stand right here. Okay, so now we're going to see what that image looks like. Okay, so right here, let me see, because it should pop up. There we go. All right. So it popped up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show it to you guys. So that'll be here. Like so. Right? So, again, I can leave it just like this. Right? Or I can bring this up. And I can, again, want to make sure that I'm actually giving the right context as far as how bright this thing really was behind them. Right? So what I could do is, first and foremost, I can actually drag this to the other side. All right, and then I can try to take a picture again. It's counting down. Sitting here now, I can actually get completely under it. Might be a little out of focus, but okay. So that's a second lighting setup, right? So that's just from walking through the door and then the box. Now, again, it was not bad, but that's 2 lenses I had to use already, just for that. You're really moving slow today. It'll show when it's ready. All right. So, here we go. All right. So that, of course, it shows up even more. But keep in mind, again, it was a whole box. So, it was a whole box that I was able to have all the light coming on them, right? So that is the second lighting setup. The third one in this case would be something simple as the DJ's area. Okay, so the DJ's area, which I wanted to make sure that I captured, because I mean he's the music. You know what I'm saying? He's the vibe of the party. So I want to make sure, of course, that I had that set up to show you guys. So in this case, the DJ's area, say for example, is right here. Okay, so if I plug in my light, now his light wasn't colored. I mean, his light wasn't just bright white. It wasn't warm, wasn't cold. It was purple the entire time, the entire night. Everybody else's light or everything else is going on around was either warm or cold, cold within the box, warm coming through the door, and then of course you got the DJ's area, which was straight up purple. All right, so we're gonna put it in purple. Now, that's purple, right? Now, of course, it could be determined on how it was actually captured to be that way, right? So the light could be directly facing him, or it could have been like this, right? So we're trying to also show you how I would capture that, right? So we'll go here. Give my love purple lighting. It's like something about it looks really, really nice. Then I'll go here, just so you guys can see what that ultimately looks like. Okay. Then I'm gonna be the DJ right here. We're gonna play around with a couple of tests on it to see what it looks like, ideally. Okay. So now what we'll do is go ahead and focus in on this right here. It's the DJ area. All right, and then I'll make sure it's really focused. All right, cool. Now we're really in focus. Okay. So keep in mind here, I didn't change a whole lot. All I did was just move it closer as of right now, right? Now, if I have to change anything else, then that'll be that. But as of right now, that's pretty much all I have to do. And then I'm going to step in front of it just to capture. Okay, so we're here. Just to see which one is going to give the best. But ideally, if I need to adjust something, that'll also take place. So here, it's the DJ. I'm listening on music. Right? So now we see what that looks like. Okay? So if I got to do another one, this is actually a great simulation of it. I did it because this is pretty much what it looked like for the most part. And all I had to do was kind of bring the lighting, the brightness down. So in this case, it would have been probably bringing my ISO down, right? So that would be me coming here, pressing the Q button, turn that down maybe about 400. I think I did about 400, but we can try either 2 or 4. Let's do 2. All right, let's do 2 for the purpose of the video, right? So we'll go here. So I'm DJing, boom, boom. Right? And he may have moved a little, you know what I'm saying? Because he's working, right? So there's also that image. Now again, it goes into that thought process of playing around with the settings. So I did go to him about a couple times, right? So because I tried it out with my kit lens, I was like, I don't like how it looks, because it was too dark. So then I tried it again with my prime lens, and it worked out much, much better. So this is where you will have to finesse and tweak it, but luckily you'll be able to tell when you're at an event. If it's not a moment that cannot be replicated, meaning you can't come back to that moment and do it again, that's when you'll definitely have to make sure that you have done your practice shots to kind of simulate. You're going to do a lot of simulation on these types of things to ensure people are walking as if the person that you need to pay attention to is coming in, just so you're not adjusting mid walk. Because then at that point, the whole thing is shot. Because you're getting paid for this particular moment to capture certain types of moments, and you're missing them. That's when, of course, it's liable to where it's not going to be a successful time, ultimately shooting. The client could be upset. You know what I'm saying? You're going to risk a lot of shit. And not to say as if it's a whole lot of pressure on you, but ultimately it is at the end of the day. So this is why you can remove some of that pressure if you practice enough to build up that confidence. So when you get to the settings, you don't have to worry about trying to fix anything in post. You already know you got it, and you did the best that you could, not only that you could do, but the best that you're confident in doing in that moment. All right. So again, if it's a DJ area, you can go back to that area a few times. You can practice and test it out a few times to see which one the best shot is, and then when you get done, remove the worst shots out your camera. All right. So I'm gonna do this one more time, just for the purpose again of this, and then we're gonna move on to the next lighting setup, and that'll be the last one. So here. Boom. That's it. That's it. I don't need to do a whole lot for real. Not for this one. Alright? So that's 3 different ones that we've gotten set up so far. Okay? Now, the last one that I will go over, in this case, and let me see if I remember exactly which ones that I had in mind. Okay? Because what I have right now, what I showed you guys, was. Sure, this is still on me. Alright, so far what we did. Oh, this is the last one. This one is actually going to be more centered on my setup with my assistant. Okay, so you guys pretty much saw how I set up the speed light, right here. Okay. I know I don't like having it on bright, but is it really that dark? Okay. Alright, I thought I was tripping. So you guys saw how I was able to set up my speed light on here, right? Then the other options is what my assistant had to use when it came to capturing. Now, you guys have to do your best to put all these things together, because this is probably, unless I'm actually at an event to break these things down for you, that's going to be the only way for you to really see me doing it in depth, right? So for right now, I'm going to show you what the lighting would look like. So this is what I do with my assistant hat, right? To be able to record the people coming in, and granted, this came out pretty good because it's very bright. You probably have seen these at different conferences, different events. Other creators probably have used them, but it's very bright. But the one thing that I will say that I noticed, and I definitely want you to ensure that you pay attention to, this won't be very long because I'm not gonna do a lot of demonstrations with it, but I will do a video about this. It says, don't be afraid to use these lights, okay? Because I know a lot of us were like, I don't want to blind them. I don't want them to look like they can't handle it. I get it. Trust me, we don't want to blind them. But at the end of the day, if there's not a lot of light that's around them to be able to capture it in the best possible way without you having to do the post-exposure, exposing, raising the brightness, that is, I would rather you... I'm gonna say the statement's gonna sound bad. I'm not gonna rather you blind them, but I would rather you raise the brightness in capturing versus raising the brightness in post. And here's why. Because of the fact that it'll look a lot better if you raise it while capturing. And not only better for you, but better for the client. The client is going to look at the videos, and they may be using these same videos. They may be saying, hey, I want to go ahead and post a clip from what we just did today, and be able to really use it on their Instagram, right? On their Twitter, on their TikTok, right? I want to make sure. So the client might decide that they want to use those clips. But because of the fact that you didn't bring up this brightness, now these clips look dark. Now they have to possibly be the one to add the brightness in. And let's be for real, the filters on any platform are not always the best. Because you can tell them filters have been used, right? So I suggest if you're going to use this method, to go ahead and use these lights. Turn it on, turn it up, point, and shoot, okay? Don't make it too complicated. Don't be too much in your head about it. Don't be overthinking it, because when you're in that moment and you're at an event, there is no time to overthink. You just need to go ahead and point, shoot, and go, all right? And then decide, and whatever you decide to do in that moment could be determined if you're going to get booked for that session again or by anybody else, okay? So that's just a tip that I have when it comes to being able to use these. But this came in handy because we have a gimbal, but it doesn't have a light attachment already with it, and the light attachments that I do have, they're not very, very bright. And not only that, I didn't want my assistant or even me have to worry about having a whole contraption that was very, very heavy. So we had this light. She had her phone right here. She had the microphone, of course, also extended, was connected to her phone, and it had a separate light just in case this light died out. So she was good. like she was ready and prepared. But you can't be afraid to use this, especially when there's a situation to where you're walking in and there's multiple different lighting setups and you don't know how to move, where to go. Now, for me, I can adjust, but just because I can adjust doesn't mean that you shouldn't as the videographer. So if I'm adjusting as the photographer, you need to also be doing the same thing. So in this case, if you can't get closer to a client to capture and get really clear and bright enough image and the lighting to be really nice, then I'll suggest you bring this brightness up and be at a safe distance and then capture them from there, and you'll be good to go when it comes to that. Now, of course, keep in mind, my event that I just did, it didn't have this colored lighting the entire time. Whereas, meaning to say that sometimes the ambiance is just the colored lighting, and you don't necessarily want this bright white light over that person because it could drown them out or more so make them stick out versus them kind of blending in with a nice color background. So this is where you have to decide: do I have to use this light, or do I just use the ambiance light, right? And if it's the ambiance ain't doing what it need to do, use this light. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys for this evening. But I wanted to go over those multiple different steps, multiple different areas on how you can utilize different lighting setups in one room. All right, it was a lot ultimately when I did the event, so it gives you an idea of what to do and how to charge for the next time. But I was able to manage it. So the thing that you want to be able to take away from all of this is, no matter what, practice, practice, practice. If you got to go live like I do, or get a model that you work with like I do, be able to just capture as much as you possibly can, because the more you capture, the better that you'll get. The better that you'll get, the more people will be willing to pay for what it is that you do because you have been putting in the work. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm gonna see if I can probably come on here next Thursday. It is gonna be Christmas, but I also don't want to be every time it's a holiday I'm not showing up. So I'm gonna see what I can come up with, even if it's something short and sweet and fun. We can maybe do something fun. Might be able to do like a photo shoot or something around that time. A cute, sexy Christmas photo shoot. Even though I'm not really into holiday shoots, but either way, we might do something. All right. So on that note, I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch y'all next week and the next time I do a live.